Hi, this is me, Faiz Nur, and my student number is 2519004. I'm from Tbig B, third semester, and I want to tell you about part 3 literature research in language learning. Identify the systematically as you can say in example, the main methodological approach relevant to research in LLA and their relative strengths and weakness. We will find it in the chapter 7. Some area of LLA suitable from small scale research project. You will find it in chapter 8 and basically how to get started in and to pursue such project successfully. Part 3 is indeed it, intend for those who wish to pursue their own research in order to extend or apply issues raised in part 1 and 2, or even better, to bring new perspective to the study of literature in language education. So we will discuss, led by me, about how to get some a good research. And part 1 and 2 have outlined the main issues that have been addressed in past research and some of the unresolved question still insufficiently investigate, particularly with regard to second or foreign language education. Part 3 is a more methodological overview of the relevant research methods. So, part 1 and 2 is the example of how we do a good research, and in part 3, we will get some example, an issue, and method that been used by someone, and the result. Uh, in part 2 that sorry given by parts 2, with example of area which might be investigate or where previous research could be replicated in new contexts. For example, seeing how far finding concerning L1 context can be transferred or need modifying in L2 context. So uh, even we are in part 3, we still need to take a look at part 2 for taking some material and something that can be used again and at the part 3. uh, Part 1 and 2 have addressed the first of this question, the theories and models, in part 2, and now in part 3 we turn into empirical tests. And education research must always be interested in the third of the of the beginning areas. How far current practice serve the interests of the participants, the student, and their teacher. So even we do our own research, we still need some foundation or some to control our project. It is called as the background areas. This last issue will tend to be the major problem behind action research and other forms of practitioner research, which chapter 7 and 8 intend to prompt readers to engage it. rather than the higher level theories. And model buildings and model building they they Grant referred to. To begin, two general research orientation inform all of chapter 7 and 8 are now outlined before the more practical detail of method and technique will assemble which follow. So we need to understand first chapter 7 and 8 before we start our research. Uh, in this case, chapter 8 and 7 still uh, important to our project because that is where the big grand t- tell, you know what I mean. And to begin, to general research orientation from all of chapter 7. And research is a broad idea, remember that, with many manifestations, so generally aiming at better understanding of some phenomenon. The methodological approach recommended in chapter 7 and 8 are mainly qualitative. In orientation and selected or there are practically and real possibilities for implementation by less experienced and often less well support teacher research of or practitioner in ideally situated with regard to opportunities to collect relevant data, but with many others obligation to meet, thus limiting the time and commitment possibly available. Uh, in this case, research is a broad idea. It refers to we can do anything that made it as our research. So we need something to control. We need the main idea. We need the example. We need the research result like a data, like an observation. It's not just an oh look there oh we can tell this as like this way. No, this that's not how we work. And educational research today is increasingly qualitative or naturalistic in orientation. Unfortunately, research based on the ideas of language learning as an individual's psychological achievement still tend to dominate research in second language acquisition, developed by Davis at 1995. A fundamental shift needed is to move from dominant metaphors of language acquisition to the ideas of language socialization. Well, let's talk about qualitative research with naturalistic inquiry. First, we need to do is realities are multiple, construct, and holistic. Remember that. Second, the nor and the noun are interactive and inseparable. We still need to talk a lot in our research. And the next is only time bound and context bound hypotheses are possible. In contrast to the positive desire for time free and context free generalization, it means we need to talk a lot and gain a casual and formal mm, bond relationship, and it is not just oh hi how are you yeah I want to do my research can you help me yeah you know no that's not how it works. We still need oh yeah how's your day about that I think we can talk about this and yeah that is better. And the next is it is impossible to distinguish cause from effect since all entities are in a state of mutually simultaneous shaping. And, and the next is inquiry is value bound in contrast to the experimentalist notation and that legitimate inquiry must be value free, which is in itself value statement told by Bailey and Noonan at 1996 second after Lincoln and Guba 1990, 1985 38 until 8. Okay, let's talk about concept 3.1 triangulation. The idea the qualitative result will be more valid and reliable, or at least can throw up new issues if conclusion can be supported by appeal to a different source of understanding. In the few observation document will each have their own stories too tell, but can also be more compelling if they point in some similar of overlapping directions. Different research analysis of the same data can be compared. For example, presenting finding to a group of teacher of those student a multiple method approach. Manion and Morrison,
Kesehatan loh. Itu juga
2113.
kaki, segera periksakan ya.
So
Ya,
we
kuat.
need
Ya, udah.
to uh, understand about the interview, the observation, and the document they give from the participant. And yeah, it is quite crowd. I mean, it's multi-method approach with this thing. We need to learn creative and patient. That is that it. Concept 3.2 emic ethic. Concept basic to qualitative research and emic view is that of a participant in a situation of process and ethic view. That of an outsider will necessarily be different. Concept 3 member checks. Qualitative research should always attempt to gain insider participant perspective on data and interpretation they are developing. Research notes as they are written up can be shown the participant or transcript, tapes, or video discussed with them. Concept 3 3 The relevance of action research. They are continuing with widespread disposition among teachers generally, not just those in SL educational, that conventional research findings from Crocs 1993 135 and 130. Quote, quote 33 continued. Classroom research generates hypotheses about teaching from the experience of teaching and encourage teachers to use this research to make their teacher more competent. So if you want to take a research at someone at somewhere, sorry, that
Yes,
might
sama-sama.
be able to control by you,
Tolong dicek bayi Satrio.
classroom is the
Apa
best
udah
choice.
berkirim apa ya? Sudah menanggapi 7A.
And
Bayu Sadewo,
the
Bayu
action research
Sadewo,
spiral is
Sadewo ini ya.
practiced
7A.
in the process begin with a general idea that some kind of improvement or change is desirable. In deciding just where to begin in making improvement,
Iya, sudah
one
ya.
decides on a
Dapat
field
dapat berapa?
of action where the battle, non the world war,
Iya
should
toh.
be fought.
Iya yang terus.
This capture outlines of hitters and their relative strength and weakness of The research method used to study literature in language education using example studies, ethnographic, and qualitative studies of literature. In language the education are advocated because of the relative negligence to date of student perspective on ELLA. Experimental research is strictly conceived is difficult for most of us to carry out in the ordinary course of studies because of the need of strict control. See a balanced discussion in Nunan 1992, which nevertheless emphasizes the practical difficulties in educational context of strict experimentalism. See also Dove 2002. Normally, experimental purity is both at the expense of the ecological validity on which qualitative research place a high premium. So in this experimental research, we need to do this step, that is summary, aims, methodology, research, sorry, result, commentary, and further research. And it also works in survey research example. We need summary, aims, methodology, research, commentary, and further research too. So we need to point on this one. This interview guide for reading strategies. We should put the name of participant, general reading behavior, heraldist, translate case contextually, translate case non-contextually, translate cases contextually, and translate rarely guesses. Observe strategies comment, keep meaning in mind, and skips unknown words, cases contextually, and uses context in preceding and succeeding sentence in paragraph. That is observe strategies comment. And the next is the next of the observe strategies comment is identifies grammatical category of words, evaluates guess, read the title, make inference, continue if unsuccessful. I repeat it. Continues if unsuccessful. Recognize cognates, use knowledge of the word, and analyze unknown words. It as talk he or she expect the text to make sense. Read to identify meaning, then words. Take chance in order to identify meaning. Use illustration. Use sides clauses. Use glossary as last resort. Looks up words correctly. Skip unnecessary words. Follow talk with proposed solution. Use a variety of types of context clue from second language reading, a curricular sequence for teaching reading strategies in Hossenfield at all 1981. That's it. Thank you for your attention, and we will next to the next explanation.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Trika Wahyu Minjayani. Name 3000. Di sini saya akan menjelaskan tentang general consideration. This chapter aims to help reading, dissect and implement. There are recent projects in LLA. The basic orientation assumed is that of equation research as outlined at the beginning of part 3. a teacher register in are the perspective which to understand better in order to transform an exciting place that setting situation in collaboration with other participants and will the reflects on the event of the transformation in order to go on improving practice in the interest of all participants. Traditionally, it was said that quality first presence was a orientation exactly unintelligible and be experienced and operative only in the context of literature in linear education. The start point for ration may be issues like my studies are born in literature classes. 2. Students are not doing extensive reading at home. 3. Studies say the reading texts are too different. 4. Is the stuff really relevant to study net? Initial formulation of a problem or research question are very likely to be imperfect and need revision, but until you have something in writing, you can start to refine and improve on it. A common problem for new researchers as for my readers is to experience prevention to become discovered at a stage when that best there can be hope for its rock star. Likely, source of information informing qualitative action will be 1. Observation, 2. Intervention, 3. Analysis of text document. You might be analysis. 2. Writing document. 2. Spoken interaction. 3. Non-linguistic data. You need to keep careful analysis as you go along. 3. Remember to analysis are always better than on some possible project for literature in LLA. The follows some suggestions for project which would be of wider interest to the LLA researcher community together with ID. 4. Methods and analysis. Of course, as already argued In the first instance, the addition ration will not necessarily assume generalizability of finding, but will contain cracks of the specificities of the situation, which will also lead to questions like this being modified in the light of more local counters. Project topic: how to collect data. 1. Syllabus testing or assessment. Text called analysis document. 2. The literature lesson observation. 3. Case study culture observation interview journal. 4. Reading literature in protocol study. 5. Attitude to literature questionnaire. 6. Literature as a social practice ethnography. 1. Project 1 Syllabus testing and assessments, analysis of document, material text, purpose, key question, anti outcome, how to collect data collections, analysis, time allocation, resources needed. Project 2 Observation of literature lesson. As in the material, that are some part that are the sum in the first part and for the second and so on until the end is the sum. 3. Project 3 Case study an individual reading of or reading the some text or text across. Project 4 Difference in reading literature in a second language. 5. Attitude to literature. 6. Literature as a social practice. Ethnography. Thank you all and thank you for all and that all and thank you maybe that all I can say. Bye, see you. The initial formulation of a problem or research question are very likely to be imperfect and need revision, but until you have something in writing, you can start to refine and improve on it. A common problem for new research give us for my readers is to express innovation to become discovered at a stage when that best there can be hope for its rock star. Likely, source of information informing qualitative action will be one observation, two intervention, three analysis of text document. You might be analysis. 2. Reading document. 2. Spoken interaction. 3. Non-linguistic data. You need to keep careful analysis as you go along. 3. Remember to analysis are always better than on some possible project for literature in LLA. The follows some suggestions for project which would be of wider interest to the LLA researcher community together with ID for methods and analysis. Of course, as already argued in the first instance, addition will.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Marika Utami. My student number 2519002. I'm from TBIGB. Here I will explain the result of our discussion on the material from the ebook by Gov Hall entitled Literature in Language Education, especially in Part 3, Researching Literature in Language Education. In Part Case Studies, Ethnography of LLE, General Consideration, and some possible projects for literature in LLE. First, case studies examine finite phenomena in depth and in a holistic manner. There needs to be clear features that make the individual or group ultimately have broader interest. Case studies can be useful for longitudinal research, for example, skills development, professional development, implementation of language planning or policies in a stage or institution. Second, ethnography is distinguished by features such as extended participation at the study site, reflexivity, and an excessive urge to understand and report. Third, this chapter aims to help readers design and carry out their own research projects in LLE, Literature in Language Education. The basic orientation assumed is action research, or traditionally it has been argued that qualitative research is an orientation fundamentally unattainable, learned by experience and internships alone. Fourth, the initial formulation of a problem or research question is likely imperfect and needs revision. But until you have something in writing, you can start revising and fixing it. A common problem for new researchers, as for many writers, is to expect perfection and to despair at a stage when the best that can be hoped for is a rogue start. Anticipating the result, you should keep an open mind. But no one does a research project without a background of hope. Fifth, here are some suggestions for projects that will be of broader interest to the LLE research community, along with ideas for methods and analysis. Of course, As has been argued in the first, intense action research will not necessarily assume generalization of the findings, but will concentrate on the specificity of the situation, which may also lead to questions like this being modified in the light of more local concerns. Okay, I hope my explanation can be understood. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.